Len Bias was the kind of talent that made you believe in destiny. At the University of Maryland, the 6'8" forward fused a linebacker's build with a dancer's grace. His jumper was silk. His dunks were thunder. His will was iron. Michael Jordan, no stranger to fire, once said Bias alone could match his hunger. Two-time ACC Player of the Year, a highlight factory, he was the East Coast's basketball beacon. NBA minds saw him as the game's next evolution. Power and poetry in one. In 1986, the Boston Celtics, reigning champions with Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish, held the second pick in the NBA draft. A gem from a shrewd trade. They didn't need a savior, but they drafted one anyway, choosing Bias on June 17th. The pick felt like a coronation, a promise of titles stretching into the next decade. But fate had other plans. On June 19th, 2 days after his draft, Bias was celebrating with friends in a University of Maryland dorm suite, the air thick with laughter and the glow of his new future. Around 6:30 in the morning, after using cocaine, he suddenly clutched his chest and collapsed onto the floor, his body crumpling in a heap. His friends, stunned, scrambled to call for help, their voices trembling as they dialed 911. Paramedics arrived to a chaotic scene, finding Bias unresponsive, his pulse faint. They worked frantically, administering CPR and rushing him to Leland Memorial Hospital. In the ambulance, his heart briefly flickered back, offering a cruel glimmer of hope, only to fade again. Doctors fought for hours, but it was no use. At 8:55 in the morning, Len Bias was pronounced dead at 22. His mother, Lenice Bias, received a call that morning, the words slicing through her like a blade, leaving her world in fragments. Boston's joy turned to ash. The country stopped. ESPN replayed his dunks. Talk shows wrestled with the tragedy. Congress seized the moment, pushing the 1986 Anti-Drug Abuse Act, a divisive law born from grief. The Celtics couldn't legislate their loss. They'd gained a visionary, only to lose him to shadow. Len Bias is basketball's eternal question mark. He had it all: body, game, aura, yet left nothing but echoes. His absence didn't just haunt Boston. It denied the game a rival, a myth, a light that never shone. The captain who fell too soon, Reggie Lewis. Reggie Lewis carried the Celtics' hopes with a quiet strength. From Northeastern University, he rose from a modest draft pick to Boston's cornerstone. His mid-range game sharp as a blade. His handles smooth as jazz. No flash, no ego. Just buckets. By the early 1990s, with Larry Bird hobbled and Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish slowing, Lewis became captain, the new face of a fading dynasty. An all-star in 1992, he averaged over 20 points for 3 seasons, ready to write his own chapter. At 27, in 1993, Lewis was primed to lead, but during a playoff game, his body betrayed him. He crumpled mid-play. No contact, no warning. He rose, played on, waved off concern. Doctors later found a heart condition. Its prognosis murky. Some said he couldn't return. Others gave hope. Lewis trained, smiled, believed. Behind the calm, he was outrunning a shadow. On July 27, 1993, Lewis was at Brandeis University for an off-season workout, the gym echoing with the squeak of sneakers and the bounce of a ball. It was a quiet session. No crowds, just a few teammates and coaches. Around noon, mid-drill, Lewis stopped abruptly, his face tightening. He staggered, then collapsed onto the hardwood, his body limp. Coaches rushed to his side, shouting his name, their voices cracking with panic. A teammate dialed 911, hands shaking, as others tried to rouse him. Paramedics stormed in, the gym now a blur of urgency. They performed CPR, their compressions rhythmic but futile. They loaded him into an ambulance bound for Waltham Hospital. Doctors worked tirelessly, but his heart, weakened by an undetected defect, wouldn't respond. At 1:15 in the afternoon, Reggie Lewis was declared dead at 27. A husband, father, and Celtic leader gone to sudden cardiac arrest. Boston broke. Twice in a decade, their future had been stolen. First Bias, now Lewis. Teammates wept. Fans searched for meaning. The Celtics, once untouchable, stared into a void. Reggie Lewis was meant to be a legend, his poise and skill a bridge to Boston's next era. Instead, he became a reminder of life's cruelty. Greatness stopped not by rivals, but by a silent flaw, his legacy lingers in what could have been, a torch unlit. The soul taken in the night. Malik Sealy. Malik Sealy was a light in the game's margins. Drafted from St. John's in 1992, he carried Malcolm X's name with a poet's soul. Journaling in the dark, loving music, radiating warmth, his career wound through Indiana, Los Angeles, and Detroit. But in Minnesota, with the Timberwolves, he found his calling. There he wasn't just a player, he was family. Kevin Garnett, the team's young star, leaned on Sealy like a brother. They shared laughter, meals, dreams. Garnett called him his best teammate. On the court, Sealy was a spark, nailing big shots, guarding with heart, and lifting Minnesota to early playoff runs. Wearing number 2 for Len Bias, he played with a quiet fire. On May 20th, 2000, Sealy's story ended. He'd spent the evening at Kevin Garnett's birthday party in Minneapolis, the mood warm with music and camaraderie. After midnight, Sealy climbed into his Dodge SUV, heading home under a starless sky. On Highway 100, a pickup truck driven by a man with a blood alcohol level twice the legal limit barreled down the wrong side of the road. At 1:08 in the morning, the truck slammed head-on into Sealy's vehicle. The collision, a sickening crunch of steel. The SUV spun, crumpling into a ditch. Sealy, pinned in the wreckage, suffered massive trauma. Police and paramedics arrived to flashing lights and twisted metal, their faces grim as they worked to free him. But it was too late. Malik Sealy was pronounced dead at the scene, at 30, his life stolen by a stranger's recklessness. The Timberwolves unraveled. Garnett went quiet, later saying he'd lost his muse. The team retired Sealy's jersey, kept his locker sacred. His name lived not in box scores, but in the grief of those he touched. Malik Sealy didn't chase stardom, but he left a mark. To Garnett, to Minnesota, to those who knew him, he was a heartbeat in a fleeting world. His death took a spirit. A reminder that even the warmest light can vanish in a single, careless moment. The sharpshooter's final drive. Dražen Petrović. Dražen Petrović was a blaze of brilliance. A 6'5" guard from Croatia, he lit up European courts with his deadly shooting and fearless heart. Known as the Mozart of basketball, his game was art, precise, passionate, unstoppable. In the 1980s, he starred for Cibona Zagreb and Real Madrid, earning Europe's highest honors. In 1989, the Portland Trail Blazers brought him to the NBA, but it was with the New Jersey Nets, starting in 1990, that he became a legend. Averaging over 20 points a game, his three-pointers rained like fire. An all-star in 1993, he was Europe's proudest export, a rival to the NBA's best. At 28, Petrović was at his peak. His Nets were rising, playoff contenders fueled by his scoring. He was the bridge between continents, proof that talent knows no borders. But his story ended too soon. On June 7, 1993, Petrović was in Germany, having played for Croatia in a tournament. He was a passenger in a Volkswagen Golf, driven by his girlfriend, on a rain-soaked Autobahn near Ingolstadt. Around 5:30 in the afternoon, the car hit a slippery patch. It skidded, crossed the median, and crashed head-on into a truck. The impact was brutal. Petrović, asleep in the front seat, unbelted, suffered massive head and chest injuries. Emergency crews arrived to a scene of twisted metal and shattered glass. Paramedics worked desperately, but it was no use. Dražen Petrović was pronounced dead at the scene at 28. The basketball world reeled. The Nets lost their spark. Fans in Croatia and beyond mourned a national hero. His jersey, number 3, was retired by the Nets. His name became a symbol of what could have been, a sharpshooter whose light burned out in a fleeting moment. Dražen Petrović didn't just play basketball, he redefined it. His courage and skill showed the world that Europe's stars could shine as brightly as any. His death stole a pioneer, a reminder that even the brightest flames can vanish on a rain-swept road.